Hi there. Greetings from County Sligo. It is July 11th, 2026. And it's been a while since I made a video posting, but I was feeling like it was time. So I like to wait until it feels right. And I just wanted to come in and say hello and hope you're all keeping well. The weather here has been interesting. It's for the most part been a very summery summer, which is great because sometimes it's cold and wet and rainy, which you would not describe as summer. But you may be aware that Europe has suffered from some terrible heat waves, and uh, apparently this weekend, parts of Ireland are also going to be under a sort of a heat warning. But so far here in the Northwest, we've really escaped the worst of it. And like today is just a lovely day. It's like in the low 20s, which would be like in the 70s. Almost said 1970s. And so, it just feels great. The garden seems to be doing well, and the sun is shining, and it's not raining very much. So I do have to water, which is not something we have to do very often here, but happy to do it because just having some dry weather and warmer temperatures is really a great treat. So anyway, that's what's happening weather-wise, and I just wanted to chat a little bit about our postman, Jerry. Jerry was our postman for the whole time we've been here, 19 years, and I just remember the day he walked into our house in 2007. We were here. The house was still under construction. It was getting finished around us. And the front door was open. Construction guys were in and out all the time. And it was basically a construction site still, except it for certain little pockets where we were planting ourselves. But anyway, I was standing in the kitchen and I saw him come in the front door and he announced his arrival. And gosh, it was so great because when the postman showed up, Jerry, I felt like, gosh, I guess we have an address. You know, when you're building a house, like first there's nothing there, and then the house is there. And, well, it's not quite that simple. But, anyways, just the idea that we now had an address and we had a postman kind of brought home the reality that we were actually had were creating a home here, and so it was very memorable, and it's just a really strong memory that I have. Jerry was a great guy. He was so good to us. He was friendly. He was so helpful. He gave James, my husband, his cell phone number, his mobile number, so that if we ever needed him, like to call and he would come, you know, gosh. And James had some books to ship, and he had some prepaid postage that he had, and so he would, if that had arisen, he would. Jerry wasn't coming by with the mail. He used to come very early in the morning to our house. Jim would send him a text and he'd come and get the box. So, and during COVID, he was extremely kind to us, always asking us if we were okay and did we need anything. And he would go and get milk and bring it back if we needed it. I mean, really, Jerry was such a great guy. He retired earlier this year in, I think it was February. And yeah, well, you know, he would always have the radio would be on in his van, and you could hear it. He'd open the door and of the van and come to our front door to put the mail in the slot, and you could hear the radio. And sometimes he'd be listening to the news, and when uh, the news was particularly focused on whatever was happening in the United States, and Jim would meet him at the door, and he would say to Jim, "What happened?" It's just like, like we knew. We had a pipeline to the truth. Not. But anyway, it was with great sadness that we learned of his passing this past May. He died quite suddenly at home on a Sunday. And like, I guess one minute he was there and then the next he was gone. So that can happen. But it was really a shock because he had only been retired for a couple of months. And I'm sure it was a big shock for his family. Everyone in the community really loved Jerry. And yeah, people considered him a good friend. And yeah, I'm sure he's greatly missed. I know we miss him. Although we're happy also that we have a much younger postman now who is also very lovely and was a good friend to Jerry. So, life does go on. But I just wanted to mention how great Jerry was and how much we appreciated all of his help and how welcome he made us feel. It was really great. So, the only other news I have is you may from my previous videos remember that I got enrolled in this pre-diabetes Zoom support group, which I've been attending. They're meeting once a month now. They started off meeting once a week for 6 weeks, and then we're meeting once a month now. So anyway, I had my 6-month blood test. Or I guess I had one 3 months prior. Yeah, I think that was it. Anyways, I was prepared for bad news because the blood sugar it's a few numbers below being diabetic, so that's why it's like considered pre-diabetic, and it's an opportunity for you know making lifestyle changes so that you don't become diabetic, which would mainly mean, among other things, not eating sugar as much or at all, which I've been unable to do, sadly. I love sugar, it must be said. So, anyway, the month of May, there were a number of anniversaries, and we did a little trip down to Limerick and Wicklow, and there's just sharing cake and whatnot. And of course, I was drinking wine as well, which I had forsaken for several months and went right back into it. So I was expecting the worst. I was already preparing a speech for my GP, confessing my sins and asking for mercy of some sort. Anyways, I was pleasantly surprised when the test result came back and the blood sugar hadn't changed. Now, it hadn't gotten any better, but it hadn't gotten any worse. And I felt like I've been given a second chance. So I'm determined to do a better job this time around. Like for the next, I think it's at least a 3-month time period before they do another blood test for the blood sugar. So, anyways, I've been reflecting a little bit on some of the things that I learned in this pre-diabetes Zoom group, and wondering if some of that helped, even though I wasn't really doing the right thing by my diet. So one of the things that came to mind was I had learned that if I took a walk in the morning before breakfast, that would be good for blood sugar. And also, I think the muscle, strength exercises are also supposed to be good. So I was doing that quite a bit in April. Pretty much stopped it in May and June, but I do intend to get back to it. But I wondered if that had been a factor. And also, I don't know if I explained to you that there was a graphic in this great book that we all got from the HSE about all the different things about being good about your diet and exercise and all of that to try to keep from becoming diabetic. Um, it was this graphic of a plate, like your dinner plate, and it suggested that half the plate should be vegetables, a quarter of the plate should be protein, and a quarter of the plate should be a carbohydrate. So usually I feel our dinners were half the plate was carbs, and the veg and the protein were the other two quarters. So we've made an effort to eat more vegetables with our meals. And so, instead of having one vegetable, we now might have two. So it's not necessarily taking up half the plate, but it's an attempt, and it's just being more conscious of that. Another thing that I learned was this book suggested, or somebody suggested, um, eating the vegetables first and then the protein and saving the carbs for last, because the vegetables and the protein would help the digestion of the carbs in a way that would keep your blood sugar from spiking. Of course, also, it's all about whole grain everything in the carb department. But potatoes. I don't know if potatoes are considered whole grain. Uh, they are my soul food, so they're very white and lovely mashed with butter. So, anyways, those are my understandings of what's happening in that department. Um, let's see, what else was I going to tell you about? Um, gosh, uh, I was just reviewing one of my older videos about the ancestral lineage, and I wanted to share a couple of things with you. One is that I've been doing some meditations around that, and one of the sort of insights that I've gained recently, well, several months back, really, is this sort of unhealthy dependency that I discovered. Uh, I have it. Um, I think it's a source of anxiety about being alone and what that might mean, especially being 74 years old and et cetera, et cetera. So, anyway, in the past, I have felt anxious when my husband's been away. This is just the two of us. We don't have any kids. We don't have any relations here that we're in touch with at all. So we have good friends. That is a wonderful thing, and appreciate that so much. But um, there's a quality of being on our own. And when he's gone, he goes back to the States several times a year. So uh, I have been practicing uh, a meditation that, what I do, I'm not a no thoughts meditator. I just my thoughts are just going all the time. But I am pretty good at visualizations. So, and sometimes I'll like ask my deep mind for inspiration. So I'll kind of, get into a meditative, quiet state, and I'll ask for an image that would be this energy of this unhealthy dependency and the anxiety that comes out of that. What would that energy look like at its highest level? And so the image that I got was a girl on a bicycle on a two-wheeler. And so the image was fairly strong. Part of the practice is to accept what your mind gives you and work with it. So my sense was that this image of this young girl on a bicycle was, you know, she was like propelling herself. She was keeping her balance, and she was moving forward with confidence. And I thought like that was kind of the opposite of feeling like, oh God, I'm alone. I'm worried something's going to happen to my husband and he'll go away and he'll never come back. And I mean, life can be difficult, no question. But I guess what happened to me is I became aware of what it meant to be the object of unhealthy dependency. And when that happened, I understood my own anxiety as being really not helpful to my husband or to our relationship. And so, gosh, that was an eye opener. I mean, I knew I was a worrywart kind of a person, but this really pointed out to me how harmful it can be to the other person that you're depending on. Now, I realize we all depend on each other as humans and as communities, and that's a good thing. But there is a level of where it goes too far, or it's unhealthy, or it's, it can quickly turn into controlling behavior or anxiety that is not good for you, for anybody, for me. So anyway, so I got this vision of this girl on the bicycle, and so I did a painting of it as well. And I'm going to try to add it to the end of this video or insert it at some point. So I'm not really a very realistic painter. My drawing skills are not great. I don't practice my drawing skills or really try to do anything too realistic, but I did do my best to give the impression of this girl on the bicycle, and then along with this other things I love to do, like leaves and flowers and sky and cloud and stuff like that. So the wheels of the bicycle, one is blue and one is green, and I wanted the green wheel to be like sort of the grounding, being connected to your life and your body and your place. And then the other wheel is a blue wheel, and it's more like moving into the sky, and that is sort of more about inspiration, creativity, a type of spirituality. So that this girl on the bicycle really had both of those things active, and So anyway, when I do feel anxious or worried, I I bring forth this image. I either look at I did a painting. I think I might have mentioned it. So I either look at the painting or I imagine it. If I'm not able to look at it, I can just bring it to mind, and I feel like that shifts the energy around feeling dependent in a way that isn't good for me or the person. Mostly my husband. I don't know that there's anybody else really. But anyways, so I just wanted to share that because that's something that I'm learning and working with. So I guess that's it for now. As far as my chit chat goes, I might show you a few bits and pieces in the garden and call it a day. Anyway, the garden. There's the garden. I don't know if you can see it, but look how beautiful this is. The sky is blue and the sun is shining and it's very dry and it's amazing weather. Okay, talk to you later. Bye. Here's a few bits and pieces in the garden. We got some pots with flowers. This is the chaos part of our garden. Anyway, we'll just come along here. This is some chamomile I started from seed. It really enjoys the sunlight. It opens up beautifully when the sun is shining. They close up at night, which is interesting. This is something my husband bought. I'm not sure what it is, but they're cute little buggers. I shouldn't call them that. They're lovely, lovely flowers. Some nasturtiums. I think those are wild geraniums. A little bit of cosmos that I started from seed. Don't do much weeding around here. Kind of given up the weeding department. That's also a wild geranium, I think. There's another nasturtium in the pot. And these ferns, they grow all by themselves. We never planted them. They just arrived. They are lovely. We do try to keep them in check a bit. This little arrangement here is borage, chamomile, cosmos, and calendula. I planted everything except the calendula, which came up all by itself. I do love it. The insects seem to really love the borage. The bees love it. You can actually eat those purple flowers. I mean, you can put them in a salad. Not that I do, but I'm always thinking of it. Oh, there's the cosmos in the breeze. They're so fun. Let's see. That is an arch that my husband made from the willow hedge. He created this hedge by putting willow sticks in the ground, and then they just grow so easily, and we just keep it trimmed. He looked after it for a number of years, and then he let a couple of the branches from either end of this hedge grow. We didn't cut them, and then he tied them together at the top, and then they've been growing. I mean, they're still alive. It's a living arch. So anyways, we do have to keep it trimmed a bit. Otherwise, it gets it will turn into basically a tree going up from the top of the arch. These branches go straight up. They're kind of fun, but it looks better this way. And I may have mentioned in one of my very early videos that we got a plant from a friend, and I was so touched by her gift. And this is the plant. It looks like it's just gonna flower. Oh, excuse my shadow. I forget what it's called, but it has a red flower, so that's coming. And over here, we have a rose. It's funny, the camera cannot really handle the red of the rose. It's a deep velvet red, but the camera is just not able to cope with it. I've noticed that about red flowers. Okay, so this is sort of, I guess we call this, we have an acre and a half, so this is sort of more of a enclosed space. That's where I was sitting, where I was talking to you earlier. So anyways, this here is a clematis that my husband planted. His idea is that it will eventually go across the top of the hedge. Perhaps next year it'll use the trellis. This year it just is it's just kind of in a little mound here, which is quite lovely. We can see this from the kitchen window, and the flowers are great. So sweet. See, what else was I going to show you? Let's go through the arch. Under the arch, the willow arch. This is an area that James has stopped mowing, and we're just letting it grow. Back up a bit so you can get a sense of it. So the grass is mowed like up to that point, and then he planted some yellow rattle seeds, and hoping that will spread, because it's supposed to help keep the grass down and allow more space for the wildflowers, because the grass will take over. But we'll see how that goes. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. Yellow and purple. A little bit of this looks like Queen Anne's lace. Not sure what it is. These light lavender colored spikes are really neat wild orchids. They're teeny tiny little orchid shapes on these cones, and it grows wild here. Everybody loves these orchids. They're really fantastic. Yeah, so that's the woods part. We have a couple of woods along the edges of our property, because this acre and a half is really too much for us to manage. So we just let it go. Jim planted some birch trees here, and so they're coming along, and he's got some new ones that were just some downy birch that was planted this spring. So hopefully they'll do okay. I'm a little concerned about them because of the lack of rain, but it's supposed to rain next week, so I guess we'll wait and see. It's hard to bring the water out here. That's a big rock that was dug up when the excavation was happening for the house, and the man who did the excavating, our neighbor, Michael Mehan, he moved the rock and put it there. And so that's where it's going to stay. It is really big and heavy. So I call it the sacrificial table because that's where we put the snails and slugs that we catch, and we leave them there for the birds. I haven't really found many snails. Well, I haven't gone snail hunting much this year. But anyway, that's what we do with that. And there's some more grass that Jim has allowed to grow. So he has a lawnmower, a 1986 Honda that we brought with us, and he uses that for certain areas. And then he's got a riding lawnmower that he got, and he does a great job. He really does a great job on the lawn. I mean, it's I guess our garden is sort of a combination of wildness, tidiness, and chaos. That's how I would describe it. Anyways, those are some trees we planted around our biomass converter, aka septic tank, that's been planted there, and we put these evergreen trees in. Gosh, they were shorter than us, and now they're super massive and big. But anyway, that's where the septic tank is. Okay, I guess that's all I have to share at the moment. Hope you're all keeping well. Bye for now.